أعزائي المستمعين يا هلا عرب، يسعدني أن أكون معكم في برنامج يا هلا بالضيف. معكم أحمد الهاشمي عبر أثير يا هلا عرب. Guest today is Miss Laura Boyton. Bitwas. You are the academic and career coordinator, right?
Yep, that's right.
At Florida State College. Thank you for your time and giving us opportunity to meet up with you. And today our episode we're going to talk about ESOL programs, and we'd like to know what ESOL programs. This way our listener know what these programs, what the purpose for those programs.
Great, I'll be happy to talk to you today about all that. Thank you for having me. So our program is English for speakers of other languages, and it's part of the adult education program at Florida State College at Jacksonville here in beautiful sunny Jacksonville, Florida. So what we do is we teach students all about the kind of English they need for everyday life here in the United States. So our students are immigrants, they're refugees, asylees, they are people here on permanent kind of status. So we don't actually have any tourists in our program or visitors. It's really for people who are making their life in Jacksonville and they intend to stay in the United States and work, raise a family, go to college, all that stuff. So the program is teaching what we call life skills English. So it's the kind of English that you need to apply for a job and get an interview, to purchase a home or rent an apartment, to go to the doctor, to speak to your children's teachers at school. Here in Florida, we talk about preparing for a hurricane or other natural disasters. We do consumer English, which is how to make sure you're not getting ripped off at a store, how to purchase things, all those kind of things that you would need to survive every day. And then once you're done with this English, there's another level of English that I'll talk about later, which is more academic English. But this is what we call life skills English.
Sure.
And it is a program that is actually a grant-funded program, meaning that the government pays for the classes. The students pay $30 for the semester, but obviously if you're having 150 hours of class for the price of $30, somebody's supporting it, right? And so it's the government that's supporting
everybody
it.
qualified for these programs?
There's only a couple of kinds of immigration status that we don't accept in this program. So the first one would be international student, and that's known as the F1 visa. Okay. So international student they are at Florida State College, but they're not in this program. So if we have someone that wants to come to the United States on the F1 student visa, we refer them to the International Students Office. So it's a whole different program for those students. The other kind of student that we don't have, as I said earlier, is the visitor tourist visa. Okay. So B1, B2. Those students we also refer to other programs. They're just not eligible for ESOL. But other than that, if the student's undocumented, we can accept them. And anyone who's applying for a change of status. So if somebody just got married to an American and everything's in process, as long as they can show us that they've applied for a green card, that's not a problem. Recently, we've had students who applied for asylum, and as long as they can show some paperwork that they've put in the application process, that's not a problem. A big thing, and this isn't really a problem for most people, but you do need a photo ID to take the test. Okay. So we know that the person taking the test is the right person, right? That's right? So for that, you need a valid photo ID, but it could be a passport, driver's license from your country, any sort of government-issued photo identification is fine.
There is applications, deadlines.
Yeah, there's some pretty strict deadlines. So actually for your listeners who are interested in starting in the fall, so starting September 4th, they need to have all the parts of the application process completed by the end of next week. So August 31st is the last day to get everything done. So this week and the beginning of next week would be really, really important to come in. There's 4 steps. You have to fill out an application, take a placement test, register for the class you want, and then pay for the class. So it's not hard, but it does take a couple of days to complete the process. So today is August 20th, And we're testing today. We have the same testing schedule every week, so I'll just speak in generalities. We test at the downtown campus every Monday at 4:30, on Tuesday morning at 10,
Okay.
and on Thursday morning at 10. So those are your 3 opportunities every week to come in, fill out an application, and take a test. Mondays at 4:30, Tuesdays at 10, Thursdays at 10.
How many weeks per semesters for
Yeah.
SL program?
So it's going to be 15 weeks. So every class is a 15-week class. So we start classes 3 times a year. In the fall, it's usually August, September. And then in the spring, it's January. And in the summer, it's May.
That's held only here in downtown campus or in north and south campus?
We've actually only got 2 locations for the ESOL program. It's going to be here at downtown. It can also be at the Deerwood Center, which is Southside Bay Meadows.
Okay.
Yeah, we have FSCJ locations at North and South, but the ESOL program is only at downtown and Deerwood.
Okay. If there is any connection between Florida College and University of Florida?
In Gainesville?
In Gainesville or here in Jacksonville?
So the University of North Florida, if you're a college student at FSCJ, so not ESOL, but you're in college, if you earn a 2-year degree here called an Associate in Arts, then you can have transfer to the University of North Florida to finish your bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So that's called an articulation agreement, and that means that students who get their associate's degree here are guaranteed admission at the University of North Florida, according to that agreement. So there certainly are bachelor degrees at FSCJ. I think we've got about 13, maybe 15 bachelor degrees now. So you certainly could stay here all 4 years and get your bachelor's degree from FSCJ if we've got a program that you're interested in. So we've got business, information technology, nursing, human services, supervision and management. Like I said, there's a bunch of them. Yeah. So if there's a bachelor's that you want, you just stay here. If there's a bachelor's that you want that we don't have, then it would make sense for you to transfer to UNF. And then you asked about UF in Gainesville. I'm not aware of any particular articulation agreement with UF. It's possible that there is one, but I haven't heard too much about it. A lot of our students, when they leave here with their AA, they go to UNF in Jacksonville. But they're certainly welcome to apply to any college in Florida or in the whole United States.
How many levels are there in SL program?
There's actually 7 levels.
Okay.
Any of your listeners are going to say, but wait, there's 8 levels. But the reason for that is there's no level 7 anymore. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
Okay.
So that's why there's 7 levels, but the last level is called level 8. It's a little confusing.
And after the SL program, if you pass, and where are you gonna go next?
So there's 3 ways you could go.
Okay.
The first way is if you have not completed your high school diploma from your country, or if you have but you can't get proof of it. And that happens sometimes. That student had to leave their country in a hurry. Their high school diploma, is lost. The school burned down. Something happened. They can't get it. If that's the case, then after ESOL, the next thing you want to do is called a GED. That is the equivalent of a high school diploma. And so we have classes here to prepare you to take that test. It's a test on the computer. Takes about 7 hours. It's reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. And once you complete that test, then you have the equivalent of a high school diploma, and then you can go to college, you can get a job that requires high school, you can do whatever you want. So if you have high school from your country and you have the proof, you don't need a GED. In the vast majority of cases, you can evaluate your degree from your country and there's no need for a GED. Okay. So if anybody's got high school from their country, that should be fine. But for those who don't have high school for whatever reason, after ESOL, we want to enroll you in the GED classes so you can refresh your math, work on your writing, and then we'll send you to get your GED diploma. So that's one path.
Okay.
The second path we'll talk about is workforce certificates. So a workforce certificate is a program that is 1 year or less, could be anywhere between 2 months and 1 year. And that's designed to teach you a job skill and get you working within a year. So these are things like truck driver, air conditioning repair, massage therapy, dental assistant, pharmacy technician, surgical technician, medical assistant. There's a bunch more. And so those programs, everyone is different. Some of them you need a high school diploma, some of them you don't, although I would always recommend you get a high school diploma before you do a workforce certificate, just because you're going to need it. Some of them are short, some of them are longer. If anyone is a refugee or has been granted asylum, has an SQ1 special immigrant visa, any of those, if you're within your first 5 years of arriving in the United States, then Lutheran Social Services may be able to pay for those classes for you if you qualify. Okay. So that's very important to know about workforce certificates, because if anyone in your audience is here as a refugee or an SQ1 or SQ2 visa, they may be eligible to get a workforce certificate paid for. And so that's a great thing. And then they can get working in their field. So that's workforce certificate. And then the third option would be college credit. Okay. College programs. So here at the college, we basically have, I'm going to say, 3 levels of college programs. We have what's called a technical certificate. Those are short. They're about 1 year. So we have some accounting certificates, some business certificates, think information technology. And you could stop there after a year. Most likely, though, you're going to want to go on and do at least an associate's degree, so you'll be competitive in the workforce. And an associate's degree is a 2-year degree. Okay. And we've got a lot of different ones of those, tons and tons of associate degrees in different programs. And then the highest level we have is bachelor degree, 4-year. And we've only got about 15 of those. So most of what we do here is the associate degree level. And then students with an associate's degree can either go right in the workforce, start working and stop there, or they could continue on and get a bachelor's. Many of our students, once they've got the associates and they can start working, then they'll start earning money while they continue on either at night, online, flex their schedule to get the bachelor's degree. Okay. And I should add for your listeners that for any degree program, so not the workforce certificates like welding and air conditioning, but anything that's a degree, technical certificate, associate's degree, or bachelor's degree, we will require academic English before you start those programs. So that's called English for academic purposes. And those are those academic English. So ESOL is life skills English, EAP is academic English. How many classes you need in EAP is going to depend on your testing. So it could be 1 class, could be 5, could be 10, the maximum is 12. And so when we give you your placement test, that's how we'll determine how many classes you need in EAP before you start your classes in accounting or information technology or whatever you're studying.
Okay. This program is available for all refugees here? I know it's available for everybody. Mm-hmm. For every adult want to come here and apply. But there's a special program for refugees.
So what would be special about the refugees would be that their ESOL classes would be paid for through Catholic Charities if they qualify. And then the Lutheran Social Services organization will pay often for the workforce certificates. Okay. I'm always careful to say if you qualify, because you have to check with the case manager and make sure that everything lines up correctly, right? Testing, all that kind of stuff. For college programs, a refugee would apply for federal financial aid, just like any other student. Refugees are eligible to apply for what's called the FAFSA.
I think there is 2 years credit or something like that. There is available something like that.
Yeah, it depends on the financial situation. Yeah. Every family is different. So you fill out the application. The application's always free. You should never pay to apply for financial aid. You should never pay to apply for a scholarship. If anyone's asking you for money, that's a scam. Don't fall for it. Okay. So they'd fill out the application, and then the FAFSA is going to look at the family's income to make a determination of what kind of aid they're going to give. One thing that's also very important is if a student already has a bachelor's degree or higher equivalency, they can apply for federal aid. In fact, I would encourage them to do so, but they should be aware that the Pell Grant, which is money that a lot of students rely on to pay for school, if you have a bachelor's in anything from any country, you're not eligible for a Pell Grant. A Pell Grant is only for students who don't already have a bachelor's degree. So the student can still get a loan. They could still qualify for scholarships. A scholarship is money that you win almost. It's almost like winning a prize, and you use that money to pay for school. So there are lots and lots of different scholarships available. The way a student would find out is when they apply for FSCJ through their student account, there's a link to apply for scholarships. And then they'll put in a scholarship application, and they'll be matched with the scholarships that they qualify for. So a scholarship could be anything from $300, $1,000. It just depends on the scholarship, could be different. So everyone, in my opinion, if you're interested in financial aid, go ahead, put in the FAFSA. It's not going to hurt anything, and then you'll see what you can qualify for.
Okay. This programs is available is part-time, full-times, or people could do it online too?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of flexibility in the college classes. So anything that's college credit. Some of those classes are available online. Some of them are 7-week classes, actually. Some of them are 15 weeks. There's a lot of variety. For everything that's workforce, there's very little choice, I guess you could say. The class is from this time to this time, and you don't really get to choose it. So, for example, I have a student who started in ESOL, finished ESOL, now she's going to go into dental assisting, and those classes are prescribed. So it starts at, I'm making this up, I don't know exactly what it was, but let's say it starts at 8 a.m., ends at 3 p.m., Monday through Friday at North Campus, and that's it. So workforce is very specific days and times. College credit, generally, you've got a lot more flexibility. And then ESOL, we have classes 3 times a day. In the morning from 8 to 10:30. Around, I call it lunchtime, 11:15 to 1:45. And then nighttime, 6 to 8:30 p.m. And those are at downtown in Deerwood. So students would need to pick one of those times.
If there's any classes and weekends? Because the reason I am asking, because most people working, most people, full-times, they have full-time job, but they want to continue them educations, and they wondering how they could do it.
Right, yeah, that's, a lot of people ask about that. The reason that we don't have those classes is it's hard to fit all the required class hours into just weekends, because since it's a grant program, we have to give the full amount of hours during the semester. So that's why we've never really been able to get like a weekend class going. So mostly, if you work during the day, then you come to the 6 p.m. class, and if you work at night, you come to the 8 a.m. class. So that's, people have got to do it during the week. It's mostly Monday through Thursday. Everything's going to be Monday through Thursday. It may be all 4 of those days. It could be just 3 days, or it could be 2 days, depending on the level. So the higher the level, the fewer days you come to school face-to-face. So the highest level, you're only coming 2 days face-to-face, but you do have online work that you have to do.
Okay. We take a short break, then we'll be back. Welcome back, Laura. Now we're talking about financial aid and how people could be qualified and where to go and apply for it.
Okay, sure. So first of all, you don't need financial aid, or financial aid is not used for the ESOL program.
Okay.
Because like we were saying, it's $30 per semester, so you would never apply for financial aid for a non-credit program, so ESOL doesn't qualify. And then the GED program to get your high school diploma, that is also only $30. And so we don't apply for financial aid for that one either. I mean, if the $30 is a hardship, if people are having trouble paying the $30, there's other ways, but not what we call financial aid, which is FAFSA. So when we talk about FAFSA financial aid, FAFSA, by the way, stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Federal means from the government in Washington. That is going to be if the student's applying for college programs, including EAP. You can use financial aid to pay for EAP, or some workforce certificates. Like I said earlier, for a workforce certificate, if you're an eligible refugee, talk to Lutheran Social Services. All other students, some of those workforce programs are covered under financial aid. Some of them are not. It depends on the length of the program. So you'd want to check on our website, www.fscj.edu, to check on the financial aid eligibility of each program. Then for college, most of the programs are financial aid eligible. Again, you'd want to check on that. So financial aid, FAFSA, you would go to fafsa.gov, G-O-V, and fill out the application. If you are married, you will need your spouse with you so that you can properly input their information as well. And then it's going to look at your taxes. So if you were here I think right now, they're still looking at the 2016 taxes, and then for the next school year, it will be 2017 taxes. So if you were here in the United States and you filed taxes in 2016, that's what the government's going to look at. If you did not file taxes in 2016 because you were not in the country, then you're going to have to let them know on the application that you weren't here, and there's a space where you can put your approximate income from that year in US dollars. You would have to kind of see what the exchange rate was in 2016 and kind of do your best estimate. That's what we've found out students should do. Now, I do want to say that I'm not a financial aid advisor. So anything I say is just in a general nature. Okay. And for specifics, I would have you talk to either you can get help through the FAFSA website, or you can come talk to a financial aid advisor at FSCJ, but that's not me. So I'm just going to give you general information. Then once you fill out the application, you will see what you're awarded. And for every single student, it's going to be different because everybody's got a different situation. And then if you're awarded financial aid, then you can choose to accept that financial aid, or you can decline it depending on what you want to do.
Okay.
The other thing that I'll mention is scholarships, because sometimes people get confused between scholarships and financial aid. The word financial aid is just a general umbrella. So financial aid is like the umbrella word that goes over everything. And then under financial aid would be grants, loans, and scholarships. So if we want to talk about that for a minute. So a grant is money that you do not need to pay back unless you fail your class or some horrible thing happens. But generally, if you get a grant, that means that you don't have to pay it back. So a lot of students have heard of a Pell Grant, P-E-L-L, for college. That's what a grant is. The second thing that we have is what's called a loan. So most people know the word loan. It's money that you do have to pay back with interest. So if you are awarded a loan and you use a loan, just know that that loan has to be repaid when you're done with school. And then the third kind of financial aid is scholarship. So the scholarship is, I was saying earlier, it's like the prize money that you win. Generally, when you apply for a scholarship, there's a few things you have to do. You usually have to write an essay of some sort. So you have to talk about why you deserve this scholarship, what you've done that, makes you worthy of getting it. And then often you need recommendations from your instructors. So if you were in ESOL and you had a good relationship with your teacher and you were a good student, You can certainly say, hey, would you mind writing me a letter of recommendation? You can also get a letter of recommendation from if you do volunteer work outside, if you've got anybody that, knows that you are deserving, then they can write you a recommendation letter as well. So generally for a scholarship, you would need to write an essay, get a couple of recommendation letters, fill out a form, and then you're basically competing against other students for that scholarship. So what generally happens is, let's say 10 or 20 students apply. The scholarship selection committee is going to look at all of those and decide who qualifies and who they want to choose, and then they award the scholarship. And then the student would use that money to pay for school. So everybody's got different ones. If you're applying for any sort of engineering program at FSCJ, I would just have you look on the website, see if it's eligible for financial aid, and then if it is, obviously you'd apply. You would also apply for scholarships because there may be certain scholarships that are specifically designed to go to engineering students. Okay. So if there's an engineering scholarship and you want to do engineering, you want to apply for that scholarship. Some scholarships are just for women. Some scholarships are just for full-time students. Some scholarships are just for students who live in certain counties. There's all different kinds of scholarships. Yeah, so you would apply, put in a general application, and then you'd be matched to a specific scholarship.
Okay. Your time, I appreciate it for having us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. If anyone wants any more information about the program, they can call us at 904-633-8360. That's the main line for ESOL. They can also come visit us at the downtown campus. The address is 101 West State Street, Building A, room 2101. Just ask for the ESOL program. That's 101 West State Street. At the Deerwood Center, we are at 9911 Old Bay Meadows Road, and that is at Deerwood. 32256 is the zip code, and they would ask for ESOL over there as well. And then our website, fscj.edu. You can also find us on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, you would go to the search and put in ESOL program at Florida State College at Jacksonville, and we'll pop up. And you can follow us on Facebook. You can also message us through Facebook if you have any questions.
Thank you. انتظرونا في الأسبوع القادم مع حلقة جديدة وضيف جديد. إلى اللقاء.